The new house celebration took a turn when his mother waved a spare key and sneered, "I'll be keeping this. We need to check on you anytime we want." My husband chuckled and said, "It's just for emergencies." I smiled and handed her a box. "Then she'll love what's inside." Her eyes widened as she pulled out an eviction notice. When my husband, Daniel, and I finally moved into our dream home in Austin, Texas, it felt like the culmination of years of hard work and planning. The charming three-bedroom house with a spacious backyard was perfect for us and our future plans. To celebrate, we decided to host a housewarming party, inviting close friends and family to share in our joy. Among the guests was Daniel's mother, Margaret. Our relationship had always been cordial, though not particularly close. Margaret had a penchant for being involved in her children's lives, sometimes more than necessary. I had heard stories from Daniel's sister about Margaret's overbearing tendencies, but I had yet to experience them firsthand. The evening was going smoothly. Laughter and the clinking of glasses filled our new home as guests admired the space and offered their congratulations. Margaret approached us with a smile, holding a small envelope. "I had a copy of your house key made," she said, producing the shiny duplicate. "I'll be keeping this. We need to check on you anytime we want." I felt a chill run down my spine. The casual way she asserted control over our home was unsettling. Daniel chuckled nervously beside me. "It's just for emergencies," he said, attempting to diffuse any tension. I forced a smile and handed Margaret a neatly wrapped box. "Then you'll love what's inside." Margaret's eyes widened with curiosity as she unwrapped the gift. Inside was an official-looking document. As she read it, her face turned a deep shade of red. "An eviction notice?" she sputtered. "Yes," I replied calmly. "It's a symbolic gesture, of course. But it represents our desire for privacy and boundaries in our new home." The room fell silent. Daniel shifted uncomfortably beside me. Margaret's lips pressed into a thin line as she handed the document back to me. "I see," she said curtly, before turning on her heel and walking away. The rest of the evening continued, but an undeniable tension lingered in the air. After the last guest departed, Daniel and I sat in the living room, the weight of the evening pressing down on us. "Did you have to do that?" Daniel asked, his voice laced with frustration. "She crossed a line, Daniel," I replied. "I won't have her, or anyone, thinking they can come and go as they please in our home." He sighed, rubbing his temples. "I understand, but maybe there was a less confrontational way to handle it." Perhaps, I conceded, but it needed to be addressed. In the following days, Margaret's actions became more intrusive. She would drop by unannounced, using the spare key to let herself in. On more than one occasion, I came home to find her reorganizing our kitchen or tidying up, as if asserting her presence and control. One afternoon, I arrived home earlier than usual to find Margaret in our bedroom, sorting through our laundry. The invasion of privacy was the final straw. "Margaret, this has to stop," I said firmly. She looked up, feigning innocence. "I was just helping out." "You work so hard, dear." "I appreciate the thought, but this is our home. We need our space." She pursed her lips, clearly displeased. I was only trying to help. After discussing the situation with Daniel, we decided to change the locks. It was a difficult decision, but one we felt was necessary to establish boundaries. When Margaret discovered she could no longer access the house, she was livid. She accused me of turning her son against her, of being ungrateful for her assistance. The strain took its toll on our marriage. Daniel was caught between his mother and me, leading to frequent arguments and sleepless nights. Counseling helped us navigate the complexities of familial boundaries, but the damage was done. Margaret's interference was a catalyst that forced us to confront issues we had previously ignored. In the end, we learned the importance of setting clear boundaries and communicating openly, even when it's uncomfortable. About 2 weeks after we changed the locks, Daniel's phone rang. He was in the shower, so I picked it up. It was Margaret. I didn't answer. She texted right after, "I know what you did. This isn't over." I stared at the screen for a while. That wasn't just passive-aggressive anymore, it felt like a warning. I showed Daniel when he got out. He frowned but brushed it off. She's just upset. Let her cool off. I wanted to believe that, but then weird things started happening. First, we noticed muddy footprints on the back patio one morning. It hadn't rained, and neither of us had been back there. Daniel tried to explain it away, maybe the dog walker from next door, but we don't even have a dog. A few nights later, I came home late from work. Daniel was already asleep. I went to the kitchen to grab a snack and found the fridge door slightly open. Inside, all the food on the top shelf was gone. Just gone. Left the Tupperware behind, but it was empty. When I told Daniel the next morning, he finally looked nervous. That's weird. You're sure you didn't eat it? Daniel, I'd remember eating an entire lasagna and 2 chicken breasts. We checked all the windows and doors. All locked. But the small side window in the laundry room, the one we rarely used, the lock was broken. Looked like it had been forced. That was the moment I knew something was seriously wrong. Daniel didn't want to believe it. I pushed for cameras. He hesitated. That's a little extreme, don't you think? Your mom had a key. That lock's broken. Someone came in here, Daniel. So I bought a cheap set of indoor cameras and stuck one near the kitchen and one near the back hallway. Just to be safe. We didn't have to wait long. 3 days later, I got a motion alert at work. I opened the app. My heart stopped. There she was. Margaret. In our kitchen. Calm as ever. Opening drawers. Taking what she wanted. Acting like she still lived there. She didn't even look rushed. She walked out the back door, casual as you like. I sent the video to Daniel. He called me immediately. What the hell is she doing? Breaking into our house. Like I told you she would. He didn't say much after that. That night, he called her. Put it on speaker. Mom, we saw the footage. You can't do that. You broke in. It's not breaking in if it's my son's house, she snapped. No, it's my house too, I cut in. You married into this family. You don't make the rules. I'll admit, I lost it. You don't get to sneak into our house and steal our food. You don't get to gaslight us and pretend it's normal. She hung up. Daniel sat in silence for a long time after that. Things got worse. The next day, I found a dead plant on our doorstep, one I hadn't seen before. The day after, someone keyed my car. Not deep, just enough to make me see it. A message. Daniel kept trying to mediate. I was done playing nice. I filed a police report. The officer was polite but skeptical. No forced entry anymore since the window had been fixed. Family stuff can get messy, he said. Try a restraining order if it escalates. Escalate? I thought we were already there. That night, we heard a knock at the door. It was almost midnight. Daniel checked the peephole and froze. It's her. She was standing there. Calm. Smiling. Holding a pie. Don't open it, I said. He opened it. Just wanted to talk, she said, stepping inside without being invited. You've made yourselves clear. But I raised you, Daniel. I won't be shut out. I pulled out my phone. You're trespassing. You need to leave. She stared at me. That same cold smile. Call the cops, sweetheart. Let's see who they believe. Daniel guided her out, shaking, apologizing under his breath. We didn't sleep that night. Next morning, I checked the cameras. She hadn't left right away. She'd stood in the yard, looking up at the bedroom window. For 20 minutes. This wasn't just overbearing anymore. It was obsession. I started documenting everything. Dates, times, screenshots, video clips. My phone was full of evidence. Daniel still hesitated. She's still my mom. And she's losing it, Daniel. I called his sister. Told her everything. She wasn't surprised. She did this to me too, she said. Years ago. I moved across the country to get away from her. I didn't think she'd do it to you. Now I wasn't just angry. I felt betrayed. He knew how his mom could be. And he still laughed when she waved that key in my face. That was when I started planning the next move. I didn't want revenge. I wanted a clean break. And I knew just how to get it. So I had a plan. But before I could pull it off, Margaret threw another curveball. About a week after the pie incident, Daniel came home from work early. I was on the couch, organizing my binder of evidence. Every visit, every creepy moment caught on camera. He walked in, pale and holding a yellow envelope. This was taped to my windshield at work. I took it, expecting another threat. It wasn't. It was a letter from a lawyer. Margaret had filed for a conservatorship on Daniel, claiming he was mentally unstable and being coerced by me, his manipulative wife. I laughed at first. Then I realized it was real. Signed documents, notarized. It said she feared for Daniel's safety and believed he was being isolated from his true family. She's trying to take legal control of you? It won't go anywhere, he said, but I could see the fear on his face. The next day, we were served a court summons. She was serious. She was out for blood. I called Daniel's sister again. She said, that's her playbook. She tried this exact thing with our dad before they divorced. Claimed he wasn't mentally fit. Didn't work then either, but it cost him thousands. We lawyered up. Our attorney was a no-nonsense woman who took one look at the video footage and the legal documents and said, she's not going to win this. But she's going to make your life hell trying. And she did. Margaret showed up to court with a binder full of emails Daniel had sent her over the years. Most were mundane, check-ins, questions about family recipes. But she twisted every word. She said he was crying for help, that he was being controlled, that I had rewired his mind. She brought in her pastor as a witness. She cried on the stand. I thought the judge might actually fall for it until we played the footage. The break-ins. The pie visit. Her standing outside our window. Her expression didn't change. Not once. It was eerie. The case was dismissed. But that didn't stop her. Daniel finally admitted what I suspected. Margaret had been paying his credit card bills. Quietly. For years. He never questioned it. She made it seem like a gift. But now she was demanding reimbursement. She sent a spreadsheet. $17,260.42 itemized. I laughed again. I was getting good at that bitter, dry kind of laugh. Daniel told her no. She threatened to sue. The tension in our house was unbearable. We were always looking out the window, double-checking locks, watching the cameras. Then came the worst twist. One morning, I was getting ready for work and noticed a little red light blinking in the guest room. We never used that room. I walked in, looked around, and found a small camera. Hidden inside a fake air freshener. I nearly vomited. Daniel and I tore the room apart. We found two more. One in a fake smoke detector in the hallway, and another inside a vent near the laundry room. All small, all battery-powered. Hidden perfectly. We had no idea how long they'd been there. No idea what they'd recorded. I felt sick. That night, I sat across from Daniel and said the words I'd been holding back for months. Either we end this now, or I'm gone. He didn't argue. We called the cops. Again. This time, we had more than stories. We had physical evidence. Real cameras. Real footage. The officer didn't brush it off. He asked if we wanted to press charges. We said yes. That's when it hit me. She wasn't just trying to ruin my life. She wanted to own us. Control us. Or destroy us. And I wasn't going to let that happen. I wasn't scared anymore. I was furious. And I was ready to finish this. The cops took the cameras as evidence. They said they'd look into pressing charges, illegal surveillance, harassment, maybe even stalking. But we both knew how slow that process could be. Meanwhile, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about those cameras. How long had she been watching us? What had she seen? That kind of thing messes with your mind. Daniel tried to keep me calm, but I was already too far gone. I'd crossed the line from scared to angry weeks ago. Now, I wanted her to feel what we felt. I wanted her paranoid, shaken, alone. So I made a plan. I didn't tell Daniel everything. Not at first. I just said I was handling it. And I did. I dug into her past. I reached out to her old neighbor, one who had once whispered to me at a family barbecue, "Margaret's not as perfect as she wants people to think." He gave me gold. Turns out, Margaret was running a business under the table, a cash-only, personal chef side hustle that she never reported. She even bragged about it on a private Facebook group. I took screenshots, saved everything. I turned it all over to the IRS. Then I mailed her an anonymous letter, no return address. Hope those lasagnas were worth the audit. But that wasn't the worst part. I knew her weak spot. Her pride. Her obsession with appearances. So I took a copy of the court footage, the one where she was shown sneaking into our house, and I sent it to her church board with a note. This is who leads your women's Bible study. She was stripped of all church duties within days. That part one do regret. Not because she didn't deserve it, but because of what came after. Daniel got a call a week later. Margaret had checked herself into a psychiatric facility. Breakdown. Exhaustion. They said she had become paranoid, convinced someone was after her. She wasn't wrong. Daniel was quiet after that. Distant. Not angry, just hollow. I asked if he blamed me. He said no. But I knew the truth. We'd both let it get too far. She was toxic. But we fed the fire. I escalated when I should have walked away. He enabled her for years and ignored the warnings. And none of that went away just because she finally cracked. After she got out, she moved out of state. Didn't tell anyone where. Just vanished. Daniel and I tried to get back to normal, but there was no normal left. Every creak in the floor made me jump. Every unknown number felt like a threat. Eventually, he said the words I knew were coming. I think we need space. I moved out a month later. We still talk sometimes. It's civil. There's even a little warmth. But the damage is done. We built that house thinking it'd be our forever home. Instead, it became a battleground. And the truth is, I don't think any of us won. Margaret lost her mind. Daniel lost his marriage. And me? I lost the part of myself that believed I had to stay polite just to keep the peace. So no, I don't regret fighting back. But I do regret letting it go on long enough that fighting back felt like the only choice. That spare key was never just a key. It was a warning. And we ignored it.